as a founder, when you grow as a founder, there will come a time when hustle won't help you. Hustle
Okay.
really becomes your enemy, right?
Okay.
And you start hurting your company more by hustling, right? Because
What do you mean by this? Like, I want to understand it better because give our audience because I want you to introduce yourself rather than me trying to
Achha,
do
sure.
that because
Yeah.
I want you to explain the narrative, right?
Yeah.
I'll only talk about the things which is written.
Yeah.
You'll talk about the man who's being written about.
Absolutely.
So
Yeah. Got it.
who you are and what do you do, and then we go back to like how did you start. Okay, so first like we
Achha,
cover
okay.
up this
Sure.
in 5-10 minutes and then we go deep dive into how you think, what are the things you're building and all that stuff. So what do you do, man?
So I'm building something called Pesto, in which I'm trying to fix education, and at the same time trying to make people realize their true potential. Right, trying to really help developers in India or software engineers in India to get access to global opportunities. Right, I feel like India has been the back office of the world for like a really long time. Right, but I think the time for India to be the front office is here now, right? And by that I don't mean that back office is bad or front office is good, but what I mean is that I'm referring to the outsourcing industry, which employs majority of developers in India, right?
Yeah.
And I feel that because remote work is the norm now, so people can really work with anyone across the world, and I feel like with very little training they can have the skills for it. So I'm trying to like build that education system in which we can get people there.
I love it. I love the first line you said. I am trying to fix education system and trying to help developers and Indians become better and realize their true potential, right? But let's just talk about you first, okay? And then we get to your why. Is when did you realize that okay, I want to do something like this? At what age?
Yeah. I think I was just a builder, to be honest. I never really had, huge startup dreams or anything like that, right? I'm just a guy from Varanasi who just read too many books on Silicon Valley, and I was just fascinated by, people building some really cool stuff, right? I saw the launch of iPhone was like a big moment for me, and I just thought that this is going to probably change the world, change the way we live, and I want to be a part of building
This world.
yeah. And I think like I almost always seek inspiration, like when I decided that I want to be an engineer, right? The reason I wanted to be that, because I looked at last 100 years and I saw what has really changed the way we live, right? And what comes to mind is innovations like refrigerator, electricity, most of the things which you can think of, right? Washing machine, radio, television, smartphones, laptops. All of these innovations happen in just last 50 to 100 years, right?
Yeah.
And I think the pace of adoption was slightly slower. So most of it looks like happened in last 30, 50 years. But I think most of this was done by innovators, right? So I think that group of people appealed to me the most, and I just wanted to be a creator, right? Build something which creates value.
Dude. Okay, let me just give you trivia, right? Like this guy is 25. Let's just say this. First, you talk as if like you're being and trying to seek inspiration, building this cool thing since like a couple of years and this and that. Like you sound very wise and mature than your age. Like I didn't feel like that answer was given by a 25-year-old, to be honest. Okay.
Let's say I'm 26. I think, yeah.
So you're
But
96 born.
yeah, 95 born.
95
Yeah.
born. Okay.
Yeah.
Okay. I'm still 1 year younger than.
Yeah, I just did the math. But yeah, I think it's age is just like a number, right? I realized that it's less about age and it's more about when you get started, right? I think when I entered college in first 6 months, I realized that this
Which
is
college did you go to?
a couple actually. I went to cluster, so I could only find one college in India which was built for entrepreneurs.
Okay.
And that was called Cluster Innovation Center. It's a part of Delhi University.
Okay.
It has very few people and it's focused on entrepreneurship, right? So I joined that in a college in Delhi University, and I really wanted to be more entrepreneurial, but I think I never really found anything like that in that school or in any other school for that matter, right? That's why I just decided to pursue my own path. I ended up building a software,
Okay.
an ERP software, to originally, mark my own attendance in my own college, but that led to, a whole ERP system, which I ended up selling to Miranda House, which is another
A college in Delhi.
college in Delhi
Yeah.
University, and that deal was pretty cool. So I think that was like my first.
And
deal,
how old were
which-
you when you did that?
18, I guess. Yeah.
At the age of 18, you were like fresh out of school. You built something. Where did you learn that?
So I learned coding like a while back. In school, I used to participate in these competitions in Lucknow Public School. They organize these international competitions in which you're supposed to design websites, browsers, and stuff like that. So I started learning those things like in 8th or 9th grade. Since 2007, I was like interested in tech, and I used to read my sister's books and stuff.
Dude, you're like a child prodigy. Like, how do I carry on this conversation now? Like,
Not
what?
at all. So I would say like I have met at least a dozen people. Like there are way too many people in India who actually are self-taught programmers. I see people who are like 13, 15, 17-year-olds who are building insane stuff, right? A lot of it in crypto because I guess like that appeals to that
Yeah.
audience more. But I feel like I was slow. I feel people who are there now today are doing much better. I think the only thing is that these people don't get recognized, right? They don't get the right platform, the right opportunity, or the right direction, right? I was just a guy in Varanasi trying to find internet connection and play around with my computer, right? I'm sure there are way too many people out there.
Makes sense. And I think it's now the content and ease of access is much like it's much better now. Like
Yes.
back then or compared to back then, right? So what happened after Miranda House? Like you sold that thing and then you realized like I want to build Pesto.
Yeah, so I ended up building like a bunch of side projects, but I think like one of the biggest revelations of my life was when I always knew I'm poor, but when I took a trip to SF, I realized that I can get like internships or job opportunities which pays me more than 100K.
Okay.
$100,000, which is like,
70, 80
some,
lakhs.
yeah, at that time it was like more like 50, 60 lakhs.
Okay.
But that really, I was hurt by that fact that, I've been poor, this whole time. And by taking a flight, I'm getting like all these opportunities, right? And I was like excited, but at the same time, very disappointed, right? So I came back to India and I realized that there is, a whole tech consulting industry worth hundreds of billions of dollars built on top of this, right? On arbitrage. And I realized that remote work is the future back in 2017. So COVID sort of wasn't there at that point, but I realized that this is the future and people are going to be working remote. It's just so much more efficient. I interviewed like a bunch of employees of different companies who were working remotely at that time, right? Like GitHub, GitLab, Zapier, and companies like that. And I basically decided to take a bet on that in the next 10 years, I want to focus on remote work. And I came back to India, just found people, trained them for 3-4 months. And with one introduction, they could get access to much better paying jobs. And it's not just about pay, but, sort of much better. They would get recognized, right? Their talent and stuff.
Makes
So,
sense. So,
yeah.
so what you decided, like, so correct me if I'm wrong. The aha moment for you is when you went to San Francisco, you realized that what I was getting paid in India was peanuts.
Yeah.
Like somebody who knows as much as me, or like an average Indian, as you like to say, can easily get like a job of $100,000 if he's well versed with the tech applications or like coding languages, right? And that was like a moment for you. Like,
Yeah,
fuck,
I
dude,
mean,
like, what the
look,
hell?
nothing comes easy in life, but I think they will at least get recognition, right? Like as a software developer, I met people who are making $250, $300 an hour, and I was like, what the hell? I guess it's that's just something which you're not exposed to, and that is there in the world, and I think remote work really democratizes opportunities for people, and if India has like 25% of world's developers, I would say this is a massive, massive opportunity for us as a country to, take it up.
So you realize this opportunity, you found out these stats, and then you realize like, okay, let me do one thing. Let me polish the existing developers which are there,
Yeah.
or like polish like a new talent which want to become like a software talent or somebody who wants to start coding.
Yeah.
You started training them for 3-4 months,
Yeah.
and then you started connecting them with the right people.
Absolutely. We went after people who are actually good developers. They're decent developers.
Okay, who are developers already.
Yes, because in 2017, I remember going to a lot of people seeking angel investments or investments in general, and it's just me. I was like 2021, I guess, and I was just like telling people that I want to teach people programming, and I want to help them get remote jobs, and they're like, "What the hell is remote jobs?" Right? You're working from home, and
You're
people
getting
are,
paid.
yeah, and you're getting paid so much money. Like, how is that happening, right? And uh, by first impression, people thought this is sort of some sort of a scam. Right? It's hard to believe that people are getting 10x more money in
Oh,
like 3 months.
people must have felt like you're distributing those pamphlets like work from home
Exactly,
and make
yes.
this.
We went through it, and we saw like some really credible people, right? Sort of, I don't want to name any brand here, but I think VPs at one of the biggest banks and stuff like that, people started commenting on our posts that be aware of this, and stuff like that. But anyways, we bootstrapped, we found people who were capable, we saw and identified gaps which are needed to, and it's not just uh, technical skills, right? A lot of us, tell me one time when you were taught time management in your entire life. Never, right? Tell me
Never.
one time you were taught project management, or how should you be answering your emails. These are like skills which, as professionals, we are supposed to have today in order to succeed. So you could be a really good coder, really good at coding, but if you're missing all of these things, you're just really hard to work with, right? For the external world. So we identified these gaps, and started training people in these things, and then they were basically a good fit, right? So
I have a question now. Like, how do you figure out what's so even you don't know what's gonna happen next, right? Like
yeah,
you're starting out in entrepreneur world, and like some people are thinking of it as scam, some people are thinking of, oh, maybe there's a big
yeah,
opportunity. You don't know what to do.
yeah.
How did you figure out?
Again, like as I said, just spending a ton of time. I've been spending like 15 hours a day for last 5 years learning about startups, trying to help others,
And how were you
collaborating with
learning about
others.
it?
I think one of the biggest things which I've realized, there are different ways, by the way. One of the ways is books, which I feel like everybody should be doing. That's like, sort of knowledge getting transferred over generations, right? And everybody should be into
Yeah.
it. But one of the really good things which I found was having access to the right mentors, or being friends with people who genuinely care about helping you. And I feel like if I meet any successful person, somebody helped them and they just want to give it back, right? And they want to help others. So I think finding the right mentors, and more often than not, your angel investors end up being your mentors, or vice versa. Your mentors end up being your angel investors. But I think having the right mentors is something which helps the most in these cases, right?
So now I have a two quick follow-up questions because that's gonna
Yeah.
help like a lot of audiences.
Yeah.
Tell me like top three books which you feel as an entrepreneur people should read because it really shaped you.
Whoa, that's a tough fix. But I think one of the books which really had a good impact on me in general, which I read like years ago, but I really like that. It's called Make Your Bed, which I recommend more
Okay,
often
make
than
your
not.
bed.
Make Your Bed. It's basically like sort of, I guess, Navy SEAL veteran from US who wrote that book. And his thoughts are very simple, that if you want to change the world, start with making your bed, right?
I know. I remember the speech.
Exactly, yeah. So it's the book from that guy, right? And I think that book had a great impact on my life. I think it really sort of helps you break your vision into small actionable items, right? That these are things you need to do, and if you do it consistently over a long enough time period, change is going to happen, right? It won't happen overnight, but it will happen. Like, it will compound. And I think that's something which I really like.
That's one book.
That's
What
one
are,
book.
what are the other?
For entrepreneurs, another book which I feel just helped me really learn the game is called Venture Deals by
Venture
Brad
Deals.
Feld. Yes.
Okay.
Venture Deals is nothing but unbundling term sheets for you. So if as a founder you want to ever raise capital, you want to sort of do things, right? I think Venture Deals really removed a lot of unknowns for me, and I really understood not just what I'm supposed to do as a founder, but also helped me understand how startups work in general. How does venture capital work? How are my partners gonna sort of work with me? Because when you when you take money from somebody, you're raising venture capital. You need to understand how venture capital works,
Yeah.
right? I have, you know, I had no idea how venture capital works in like first few years of my life, and I think that's a big mistake. When you're partnering with someone, you need to know how it works. So that's the second recommendation. Third one, I think I would go for something else, but I think I'll still go for Ben Horowitz's, hard things about hard things, just because I read it twice or thrice, and I think every single time it just had a different kind of impact on me. Because when you read it once and there, things haven't really happened with you, um, you read it, but you don't really understand the depth of it. But as you go on the journey, you start underlining, sort of highlighting more and more lines in that book. So I think that's been like another memorable one for me.
Your lot. So as far as I can see, you're too much into business philosophy, right? Because I think you're this guy who gives mindset more importance than other things. Is it
Yeah.
is it so?
100%. Yeah.
100%. Yeah,
Absolutely,
because
yeah.
like the book recommendations you had, like
Yeah.
they have to do a lot with mindset rather than hard
Yeah.
skills.
Yeah.
Because if you read those books, it has to do a lot with how you deal with certain situations, how you lead your life in a certain way, how you deal with other
Absolutely.
people,
Yeah.
and rather than making ye seekh lo, ye ho jayega, like not that.
Yeah. Oh, 100%. I mean, hard skills are great. And I think people who have different sort of, for entrepreneurs, like hard skills, I think one of the other things which I've really learned is as a founder, when you grow as a founder, there will come a time when hustle won't help you. Hustle
Okay.
really becomes your enemy, right?
Okay.
And you start hurting your company more by hustling, right? Because
What do you mean by this? Like, I want to understand it
Yeah.
better because we all have been hearing that hustle, hustle, hustle hard if you got to make it, right? Like, you got to work hard. You need to hustle 24/7. What do you mean by hustling is going to hurt your company?
So
What does that mean?
in the beginning, and I'll give like a logical explanation to it, right? In the beginning, you start a company, you have 2 or 3 co-founders, right? You are 1/3 of the company, and everything that is supposed to be done, you have to do it, right? You need to make a website, go make it. You need to do ops, you need to get customers, you need to do this, XYZ, do it, right? So you have to do those things. These are like things which you need skills for, and while hustling, you will acquire those skills as well, right? You try to learn and do stuff. Over a period of time, when your team grows and you go beyond a certain stage, then if you try to do those things again, you're basically not adding value to the company, because if you start doing that, then you won't be doing what you're exactly supposed to do. So I think what I'm trying to refer to is delegation here, right? If you don't, and a lot of founders, majority of founders get stuck in this, and I was stuck in this for a long time as well, where I like doing things, I like perfection, and because of that, there are only limited number of things you can do, right? So I think learning the art of delegation and is like a really big thing. And over time, I think you just have to focus on leadership, you have to focus on strategy, direction, because changing the direction has a much larger impact than doing one particular thing which could have been done by somebody else, right?
Makes sense. So this is classic. So I gave a speech a while ago, and I used to think about it a lot, and I got a lot of like mixed comments for it as well.
Uh-huh.
It's relating to something like this. I used to say that if you want to make quick buck, hustle a lot.
Yeah.
Okay. But if you actually want to build something great, you need to stop hustling and lead.
Yeah.
And so what do I mean by hustling and leading is hustling is a lot about you doing the hard skill job work.
Yeah.
Like something, let's say coding, selling, all of that stuff,
Yep.
right? And leading is when you're trying to only focusing on thinking and building the culture.
Yep.
So your business automatically goes
Yep.
from selling to organizing and empowering people.
Absolutely.
And that's how you shift your focus from making quick bucks to building something great.
Absolutely. And that's what I mean by, both things are important. I think when people say that hustling is it, or when hustling is going to really hurt you, I think it's not fair, because you don't
Yeah.
put it in the right context, right? So hustling is needed when you're getting started, when you're starting out the journey and stuff like that, because you don't have people to empower, right? Like you are 100% of the business. So, as the stage changes, you need to evolve as well as a founder.
So I get your point, like what you're trying to solve, right? And I love it. My point is, how can Indians take the opportunity which startups like yours are trying to solve? Because we're still saying that India is a developing country. Still, there are like a lot of people who want to do something but they don't know what to. So where should they get started so that they
Yeah.
make full use of this opportunity which a
Yeah.
lot of startups are providing them?
By the way, I moved to Silicon Valley. I was living in Palo Alto for almost a year and a half, last year. And I just came back to India a couple of months back, right? After spending a year and a half there and after spending 3 months here in India, I can promise you that the amount of action which is happening right here, it's insane. So I wouldn't say that, sort of Indians don't have access to opportunities or anything like that in terms of like their skill set or anything like that. I think people are really skilled and the transition is going to happen no matter what. The world will recognize, people will take those opportunities, and we will go for it, right? So I
Okay,
think,
so let's make it more easy for people. Okay,
yeah.
so a lot of action is happening in India. So somebody who's watching, let's say an average 20-year-old, like
Yeah.
24, 25, 26, somebody our age,
Yeah.
what are the skills they should focus on,
Uh-huh.
and which is the industry they should care about? Because see, a lot of people, especially after pandemic, they want to make a lot of money for themselves because they've realized that two things come with money.
Yeah.
First is financial independence and freedom.
Yep.
People have lived under one roof since for a very long time, discussed brains with their family members, with their friends, and now they're like, I want to be able to take my own decisions, especially in Indian families, right? Like people are like, I don't want to listen to 10 other people. I want to be able to take my decision.
Yeah.
That's one.
Yeah.
And second, people have realized that, hey, you know what? People who are of my age, just because they focus on the right places or maybe working in the right industry, are making much more than me.
Yeah.
So even I can do it.
Yeah.
Right? So how can a 20-year-old
Yeah.
can start doing it? So what are the skills they should focus on? That's first. And what are the industries you feel are going to blow up insanely?
Interesting. Yeah, big one. So I think like first I'll try to sort of answer as individuals like what we can really focus on to maximize our chances, right? I think you talked about money, and this is something which has been like one of my biggest learnings. So I'll just talk a little bit about that, right? I think in India, I come from Varanasi, right? And Banaras is like a very sort of humble city, and I come from like a very humble background, and I think, and coming from there, I think I grew up personally looking at money as a negative thing. Like focusing on money was a bad thing, right?
Money is evil.
Yes, money is evil, right? You focus on money, you'll get spoiled. I think people need to really realize and accept that we live in a capitalistic society. Money runs the world, right?
Yeah.
And if you don't have money, you won't be able to do stuff. So if you have ambitions, you need the resource to go after it. So I would say, first of all, understand money better, that what is it, right? And understand that money is just a resource, right? And it has a negative side to it. You've got to understand it. You've got to stay away from it. But money is a resource, and you've got to make money because we are all living in a capitalistic society, right? That's one. Second thing is, I think as a 20-year-old, I think I'll just say one simple word, that you've got to be working in tech. Anything that has not been disrupted by tech will get disrupted by tech, right? And when I say this coming from a tech background. So of course, like there are all other professions that I respect, but I'm just giving an advice to a 20-year-old Ayush, right?
Yeah.
Just to be politically correct. so 20-year-olds, I think people working in tech should be the focus. And no matter what you really want to do, if you're excited about sales, I can promise you there is enough resource for you to learn everything for free out there. There are certain paid ways which can make the process faster for you, but money will never be a bottleneck for you. There are enough resources for you to learn things for free for yourself, right? So decide to be in tech and try to focus on learning things and try to focus on doing things.
People who are not from tech background, like I'm a very anti-tech person. Like
Yeah.
I don't understand coding.
Yeah.
I don't understand logics. I don't understand your loops and stuff like
Yeah.
it's just not for me.
Yeah.
What should we focus on?
Yeah. So this is one of the things which you kind of like pointed out, which I really want to address, that people who are not in tech think that they don't know how to code, so they can't build things in tech, right? First of all, building an app or building a website is is far from building a business,
Yeah.
right? And it's a skill which can be borrowed. It's a skill which can be attained, right? So it's much easier problem to solve, right? If you're somebody who is not in tech, has no idea about how to code, you can still build a website. You can still build a product. Go on. I can tell you like 2-3 tools. There's a thing called Webflow. There's another company called UseBubbles. There's another company called Squarespace. And there are a bunch of these companies who are trying to help you make websites and apps without having the knowledge of how to code. These are all called non-code tools, right? And I feel like you can get started really quickly. So I think focusing on business fundamentals and solving problems, right? That fundamental understanding. How can I do something which can make somebody's life better, right? I think I like Kunal Shah's Delta 4 theory, right?
What is it?
So Delta 4 theory is, you look at a way of doing things, and the example he took, I love that example, was booking train tickets, right?
Booking train tickets.
Yeah,
Okay.
look at it that problem. You've got to book a ticket. So what's the old way of doing it? The old way is go to this railway station, stand in a queue, and spend hours. And when you get a chance, you book a ticket, right? So that is the old way of doing things. Now, like, look at the new way of doing it. Log into IRCTC, figure out which train you want, figure out the destination, and boom, your ticket is booked, right?
Yeah.
Now you try to rate both of these ways of doing things on a scale of 0 to 10, that how easy, how convenient it was for you to book the ticket. And if the difference between both these numbers which you rate, let's say, the first method, I'll rate it was 3 or 4, right? That I got the ticket, but I had to spend like hours in line, and the second way probably 8 or a 10, right? So it will be, the delta, the difference between both of these numbers are more than 4, which basically means that the problem is real and it's significant. It's good enough for you to push users to change their behavior, right? So that's a theory which I think. So identifying problems like those, where you feel the delta is quite high and you'll be able to change user behavior, is the key. And once you do that, honestly, you can figure your way out. That's when you need the hustle, right?
Yeah.
That's when hustle helps. Hustle your way out, figure out how to go to the next step, figure out how to get customers, figure out how to get paid.
I like your approach that try to build a business whose TAM is bigger.
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah.
Try to build a business where the market grows so that you grow with their company.
Yeah.
Okay. You grow with that sector. You grow your company with their entire growth of the sector, right? How can somebody identify what are the factors that this is the industry which is growing at a large scale, or maybe in 10 years this is going to become really, really big? Like, how can somebody identify that this TAM's only going to get bigger?
A couple of ways. I think like being at the right places, like following the right people on Twitter, understanding the industry better and stuff like that, just gives you the right signaling that something is happening here. And if you basically keep reading more and more, you develop your understanding of those things, right? One other way which I used to practice like years ago, I did this exercise at some point, was just looking at Fortune 500 companies and analyzing which are the industries that have been disrupted by tech and which are the industries which haven't been disrupted by tech yet, right? And that gives you like a list of industries where there's a lot of potential, right? So I think that is, of course, like one of the frameworks. But I guess like if I talk about today, like, let's talk about crypto.
Yeah.
been waiting for it, huh? No. But I think stuff like this, right? The crypto, of course, like there's a lot of noise, but if you educate yourself enough, you will cut through the noise and really analyze, why is this space so exciting because it has a lot of smart people, right? Some of the smartest people in the world are going after it. There must be something. But at the same time, there are a lot of everybody's who are trying to get in, make a quick buck, and a lot of
Trying to
scammers.
exploit the market as well.
Exactly. There is too much noise, right? So you need to have the proper understanding of the space in order to cut through the noise and identify the substance. And once you do that, you will see opportunities.
So are you a big believer of crypto?
Yeah, of course.
Yeah, you've been investing in this, right? So
Yeah, yeah.
why a lot of people are doing it because of FOMO, and other are doing it because everybody's doing it.
Yeah.
Right.
Yeah.
So why are you investing in it?
Yeah. So I think like fundamentally there are like different concepts, right? And I'll try to explain it in the easiest possible manner, right? Like a lot of people will say, in trying to understand what crypto is, what blockchain is, they'll talk about there's a ledger and whatnot, how it works and stuff like that, right? But if I just zoom out, what really excited me is that in 2008, we had this crash, right? The market went down and stuff like that. And the world saw how powerful the banks are. They realized that the power is concentrated with the banks, right? And that's a huge thing. Giving so much power in the hands of limited number of people for the world economy is way too dangerous. It might be a ticking time bomb, might be people just having anxiety. I'm not sure, but Bitcoin was invented with the thought that we are going to distribute this power amongst people. Money has value because everybody believes that money has value. And there's this book called Wealth of Nations. If you read that, you'll go through old times when there were kings and no sort of money. Then there were like silver coins with their faces on it, right? If the king dies, that money becomes useless, right? Suddenly there's this new money, right? And stuff like that. So I think the fundamental definition of money is that when people believe that it has value, it has value. Right? So Bitcoin was invented with that thought process to distribute that power, which currently are held by the banks, right? Now, on top of that, everything happened in between, and people were betting on the potential which crypto has. Okay. Right? Not application. And I'm on the same boat that centralizing, sort of decentralizing, let's say, apps or softwares may not necessarily be an improvement on the current system. You need centralization. Centralization is more effective, right? It's more efficient. And I agree. But people were always betting on the potential because it's Ethereum, for example, is programmable money, right?
Yeah.
You can do things with it. And whenever you find something you can do things with, you will keep on innovating on top of that, right? So that's what's most exciting about the technology, right? Now, something which I feel in last 10 years, one of the big breakthroughs which I've seen is Bitcoin was about distributing power which banks have and making like, a universal money for the world. The new thing which came up was DAOs. I think DAOs are fantastic, decentralized organizations, right? If you look at stock markets, what's happening? There is a part of companies which is distributed to the public, right? To hedge the risk. But majority of it is held by certain people or their investors, and they are reaping most of the benefits. And companies which are richer, which have more cash, can basically innovate more and can maintain their monopoly, can grow more, which means richer is getting richer, poor is getting poorer, and stuff like that, right? So it's economically, there's more stability is missing, right? So I think what DAOs do is that it gives the ability to people to be the owner. If I'm listening to any song and it's sort of on Audius, I can be a part owner of that, right? So that decentralizes the benefits which people are going to get. It allows innovators to come up with ideas and raise money in a distributed manner from day one, which is, if you have believers, people who believe in the project, they can back that, right? People who listen, I'm launching a song tomorrow and people like me as an artist, I don't have to go to an investor to raise money. I can raise money from my fans, right? Let's say, and stuff like that. So I think, I'm sure like this entire, I'm not going to comment on what's exactly happening in this space today, but I'm having this very simple argument that what could be happening tomorrow is very wide And I feel we are seeing internet getting built from scratch again.
I wanna end with last two questions, and those are really exciting questions, which I feel like asking everybody. Where do you see the world going? Where do you like? It's a very vague question, but I want to ask you, what do you feel like? How you? So I think both the questions are part of same thing, but one is more on the human behavior. Like, how do you see people evolving, and what kind of behavior change you're gonna see in people? That's one. And number two is, where do you see the biggest opportunity to make bucks? And you can't say tech. Like you have to, you have to specifically say
Be very
ed tech, fintech, or maybe content creator economy. Like you have to say something, right? Okay.
Yeah.
So you have to choose one.
You basically won't leave me.
Yeah. That I ask everyone. Like everybody I ask that. Like, and last time we had, so we have founded the Mama Earth, and they said purpose-driven brands. Okay. It's like, that's the future. I was like, no. You tell me what is that specific skincare. You talk about that.
Absolutely. Yeah.
So where do you feel the first question is, which is the biggest next big opportunity which people can start learning and thinking about? So you can talk about one industry, and then we talk about the human behavior.
So where the world is headed, I think to that question, it's pretty scary. I try to, I've been home for a couple of months and spending time with my family, and I try to observe my cousins who basically are
more into gaming.
Yeah, they are crazy about gaming, and one of the big realizations is that NFT sounds crazy to us, right? Buying a chimpanzee sounds crazy to us, but kids who grew up in the world of World of Warcraft, they've been buying skins, and people playing PUBG, they've been buying like car skins and whatnot for years.
Yep.
So if you ask them to buy a chimpanzee, they're like, huh, this sounds cool, right? So it's normal to them, right? Spending so much time on social media is normal to them. Flexing stuff in the virtual world is normal to them.
Yep.
Not to us, right? Like, we would rather buy some of the things, but I'm not sure. But I think the biggest thing, which I would say like is an opportunity, but I'm also scared of because it's an unknown to me, and I keep thinking about it, is to see how this generation is going to evolve and how is their user behavior going to be, because it's scary, right? Like you see 5-7-year-olds running iPads and learning stuff, and biggest YouTuber is a 7-year-old guy and whatnot, right? So I think that's definitely there, and I definitely feel that the world is headed more in the virtual direction. And I'm more big on that because I saw remote work years ago, and I really believed in it in terms of like remote work being efficient for work. But now I feel remote and metaverse is the new cool thing to sort of mention the same thing. I feel that is going to be real, and I kind of like I'm curious about it to see how it evolves for sure, if not a strong believer.
I love your point when you said that we feel that NFTs are, like it's insane.
Yeah.
That like why the fuck people are buying like a monkey head.
Yeah.
Right? Or a cool cat. Like
Yep.
why are people buying this?
Yep.
But if you actually look at the younger generation, people who are coming up,
Yep.
for them it's genuinely okay, right? Because
Yep.
they've born and brought up in an environment where they have been already putting in real money to buy Fortnite skins,
Exactly, yeah.
to buy their favorite players in FIFA,
Yeah.
to buy like let's say specific coins and extra life in PUBG or I don't know, like whatever, right?
Plus, they don't say real money. You see, they're just putting money. And it's the same for them, right? But for us, it's like you're putting real money to buy virtual stuff.
Yeah, for it, it's
Exactly.
shocking, dude.
Yes.
But it's happening.
Yeah.
And these people don't even feel it the other way. Like
Absolutely.
it's like, yeah.
Yeah, it's very normal.
It's completely normal, right?
Yeah.
And if you just identify this user behavior, human behavior, because these people are going to be your consumers for the future.
Yep.
So if you think of these people and try to build certain products or businesses on top of that, you have high chances of succeeding.
Absolutely.
Because this is a generation of consumerism. Like people, they're going to buy and consume anything and everything you tell them to because they're just coming out.
Yeah.
Their primitive years are right now.
Yep.
Like it's not that, like we used to, let's say my parents' generation used to value Rado, used to value like Rolex, like, these things.
Yep.
Right now, we value specific things like say tech, like the coolest thing I can do with my VR headset. The Oculus
Yeah,
is this expensive, or
exactly.
like all of. And the next generation is gonna be not even this. There's gonna be no physical devices.
Yeah,
They're gonna give
absolutely.
zero fucks about zero physical devices.
100%.
Wow.
Yeah.
I'm thinking a lot about it. Maybe there's if I think about my DAO and my future products in terms of this, I
Yeah.
think I have a better chance of
Absolutely.
building.
And the reason I mention this is because I see this as an opportunity, of course. And I feel like there are three ways of building a good business: be the first, be the best, or be different. And this is an opportunity to be the first or early, in the game. Yeah.
Wow, it's a reel ban gaya. This is like a cool reel. There are three ways to build a
Awesome.
business: be the best, be the first, or be different.
Yeah.
Wow.
Yeah.
Nice, man. Thanks a lot for doing this, and
Awesome.
thanks a lot for coming in, sharing some stuff, and telling people where the opportunity is. Talking about where India lacks, what we can do about it, and what are you trying to build with Pesto. It's incredible. You're just 25. I'm still blown away with the kind of understanding and maturity you have. I feel I can be as mature as you, man. Like this is crazy.
Absolutely.
So thanks a lot for doing this. And last thing I want to say is I have a question, okay? How do you think we can improve this, what we're doing right now? Like I kind of seek advices from everybody. What should we do to do what we are doing in a better way?
Interesting.
How can we
You mean
expand?
the podcast?
The podcast, the content creation, what the things which I'm doing?
Yeah, absolutely.
How do you feel? How can I expand it?
Yeah. I think like you're, by the way, too humble to say like you could be. I think you can think better than me. I only look smart here because I'm talking about my area, right? Like I don't step out of it. I'm in my comfort zone, right? I feel there are more people who are in their comfort zone, who are coming from different, backgrounds, and I feel that the audience, which is, I'm guessing like it's the youth, which is the audience, and I feel the biggest thing which matters for them is removing more unknown unknowns, right?
Yeah.
Everybody wants to be an engineer, but nobody knows what it's like to be an engineer. Somebody is like punching passports, being an that's not what I signed up for. So I think, and of course, like if you ask these people, I've talked to like hundreds of developers, and a lot of them were not happy with their college, how it went, and things they had to do and stuff like that. So I think if they just know what it is like to be in different professions, if you just make it sort of not an unknown for them, I think that'll be amazing. So I think identifying different areas and digging deep into those things could be pretty amazing. For example, let's start with YouTube, right? I don't know what it is like to be a YouTuber from behind what I see. You know what I mean? So
Makes sense.
There are lots of opportunities, lots of insecurities, lots of hard work which goes into it. People don't know that, and once you show them that, a lot of people might think, okay, it's not as cool to be a YouTuber. A lot of people might think this is what I wanted to do, right? It just helps them make better career decisions.
It's an interesting point.
Yeah.
That what I can think of, try to get people from different fields and talk about their comfort zone, so that people who haven't identified their comfort zone yet can actually look up to them and realize, oh, this is the thing I was looking for, or this is the thing I don't want to do.
Yeah,
and I can help them make better decisions.
Yeah,
That's good
just
advice.
something on top of my head.
Good advice, man. Thanks a lot for doing this.
Awesome. Yeah, thanks for hosting me, dude. It's so much fun.
Yeah.